Welcome to the Lovestead.
Hello, welcome back or to Lady Lovestead Reads. My name is Jessica and this is my weekly reading vlog. I hope you're all having a really great week so far and that life is treating you well. Leave me a note in the comments below, just how you're doing. How are you? What's new? What's happening in your life? I genuinely want to know. Let's go through what I am reading currently. Currently reading The Witch's Boy by Kelly Barnhill. This is a middle grade fantasy about Ned. So the premise of this is that Ned and his twin brother Tam go rafting on a river. Their raft crashes and Tam dies. Sadly, everyone in Ned's village thinks that the wrong brother ended up living. They think that Ned is dim-witted. They think he's slow. They generally just are very mean to him. And as a result of that, he has kind of taken that on as a self-fulfilling prophecy. He does think that he is dim-witted and slow, and he has a stutter, so he doesn't really speak. And things start to change for Ned, though, when a bandit comes to town and attempts to steal his mother's magic. Things get a little bit more exciting at that point. I am pretty close to being done. Maybe not. It's 400 pages and I'm on page 230, so a little over halfway done. And I enjoy this as an adult. As a middle grader, I would have been traumatized. This book is very dark. There are some scenes in here that just are hard for me to read as an adult. And I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I understand that middle grade isn't just for kids and that it's meant for people of all ages, but it's primarily for kids, right? I'm not wrong in thinking that middle grade books are for kids, like age 10 to 15, right? I'm not wrong. And I know that kids experience a lot of trauma and the harshness of the world just in their day-to-day life. So they're not necessarily things that they don't already know about. But I would be re-traumatized as a kid if I read some of these scenes. So I don't know how I feel about this so far. I think if it was classified as an adult fairy tale, then I wouldn't have any of these conflicting feelings. We'll see. We'll see how it turns out. Next on audiobook, I am reading Dune by Frank Herbert. I'm reading this with some of my friends from the Killing Time with Cozy's book club. I know for sure that Lee from Dark Roots Creations and Storm from Storm Reads are reading it. I think there are a few others that are reading it as well. And some folks are just following the discussion because they think it's hilarious. The three of us are really stepping outside of our comfort zone and reading this book. None of us really read a lot of sci-fi. We especially don't read space operas. So it really is a venture outside of the norm for the three of us. I am on page about 100. And so far, I can't say I'm loving it, but I also don't hate it. One of the characters, Jessica, I am loving Jessica, not just because her name is Jessica, but she's like this nurturing but firm woman, and I really like her so far. I don't know. The book is like 700 pages long, so at 100 pages I'm really only just getting into the bare beginnings of it. So we promised each other that we would at least read to page 150, so I'm going to do that. I'll probably read even more than that, and who knows, maybe I'll end up really liking it. In addition to that, my Kindle Unlimited book for this week is Dirty Love, which is book 2 in the Lion and the Mouse Mafia Romance series by Wright. And I'm reading this as part of my series about series challenge that hopefully I have a video out at some point about. And I'm about 50 pages into this one and really enjoying it. I'm enjoying this one a lot more than I did the first book. So the premise of this one is that Emily and Casimir are the two protagonists. Casimir is the head honcho mob boss of the Russian mafia. Like, he is top of the top. He's the leading arms dealer in the world, and he has hired Emily to be one of his accountants, basically, to cook the books for him, because she has cooked the books for other crime organizations in New York City, and they kind of, I mean, they're falling in love, and they're falling in love. And what's fun about this is it is a dark romance, heavy on the smut, but what I'm enjoying about it is these two, like, equally dark characters finding each other, and they don't necessarily want to change one another and, like, eradicate the darkness, but they more so love each other more for the darkness that they carry. And I am liking that so far. They're in Prague right now, so they've gone from New York City in the first book to Prague in the second book, and I'm loving the setting. Kenya Wright's a great writer. I'm really enjoying it so far. So those are the 3 books I'm currently reading. When I finish The Witch's Boy, I am going to pick back up Hollowpox, The Hunt for Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. That is the 3rd book in the Nevermore series, and I'm buddy reading that with my friend Francois over at Mr. Francie's Reads. I had started this book last week, but I put it back down because I want to finish this one first. Since they're both middle grade fantasy, I didn't want to risk getting them confused. So after I finish this one, I will be reading Hollowpox, and that is all I really know for sure of what I'll read after I get through this set of books. So today I have some animal stuff to take care of today. My cat Elle has been at the vet since last Thursday. They're just running some tests because he has some issues. I mean, this is what happens when you rescue animals. You get animals that have some health issues. So he had been struggling with pancreatitis a few months ago. He's got some thyroid issues, and he's had some urinary tract issues. So they've kept him. He's been fine. Like, he's been healthy. He's kept his weight on. He's eating. He's not vomiting. He's been perfectly fine, but we just have to check on him, every few months and make sure that everything is still okay in terms of his, like, blood work and whatever. And they've got all the samples that they need from him. So I will go pick him up this afternoon. And then my dog Maggie, you've met Maggie, but Maggie was pooping blood this morning. So I called the vet, and they're not able to get her in until tomorrow morning. So, there's that. And then I need to do water changes on the goldfish tanks tonight, aside from just work. So I've got work the rest of the day, and then I need to do water changes on the goldfish tanks. I need to go pick up Ellie Bell from the vet clinic. I need to tend to the garden, do some bullet journaling, and hopefully get some reading done in between there. So that's the plan for today, and we'll see you at my next check-in. I am working on building my home library. This is in my living room here. This is a 55-gallon fish tank that has some goldfish in it. I'm actually planning to tear down this tank and sell it. I have someone coming by potentially on Friday to pick it up. And I'll be moving the goldfish into my 75-gallon tank over there that I'm also doing water changes on at the moment. So they'll go in there. Not getting rid of my babies. And then I'm planning on getting more shelves along this wall, so this whole wall will just be my library here. But tonight what I'm doing is I am emptying out the tank, and I'm going to move the fish over into the other tank and just start tearing it down. It's already 9:30 p.m. so I'm only going to have time to empty the water out of this tank and move the fish over. I'm going to have to do
the rest of the work on this thing throughout the week. I am back at the feed store to pick up some final supplies for the chickens. And I'm taking you along, and yeah, I don't even know what I want to say, but my trip to the feed store was kind of a bust. I was planning on picking up a stock tank for the chickens to use as a brooder, and the stock tank didn't fit in my car. So I'm gonna have to find something different to use as a brooder, something that will actually fit in my car. In addition, I picked up Maggie from the vet, and thankfully she doesn't have a blockage or anything like that, but she does have doggy colitis. So there's another fun fact for the day. And then I was gonna make something for dinner when I got home, and it was still frozen, and it's just been one of those days where it's like the devil's in the details, you know what I mean? Like a bunch of little things just aren't going the right direction, and it's not a big deal, but it's definitely enough to make you a little irritable, you know what I mean? So I was gonna try to get a lot of different projects done here tonight, but I think for my own mental health, I just need to take some time and read and finish that darn book. I'm in the middle of cooking an alternative dinner. I'm going to try to make like an Italian macaroni and cheese with the ingredients that I have. I don't know how well it's going to turn out because it's kind of a weird hodgepodge of ingredients I'm trying. So I'm putting together rigatoni pasta with cottage cheese, mozzarella, basil, and garlic, and hoping that it tastes like something edible. I guess we'll see. And this is the last check-in from this position in my home at this time of night. Je promis, I promise. I've made a little bit of progress with Dune by Frank Herbert. Herbert? Is it Hebert or Herbert? I'm buddy reading this with Storm and with Lee. Their information is below. And I'm about 210 pages into it at this point. There's been a little bit of betrayal, a little bit of politicking, a little bit of giant worms that sound a little bit freaky. I can't say that I'm loving it, but I'm also not really hating enough to DNF it either. So I'll keep going with it for the time being, and we'll just see. We'll just see how it goes. Here's how the macaroni and cheese, the Italian mac and cheese, turned out. It's not bad. I don't recommend using mozzarella in a mac and cheese recipe. It gets too stringy, but it tastes okay.
Happy Wednesday. So last night I ended up just doing a little bit of reading, watching TV mostly. I watched The Office, and this was the first time, and I can't even remember how long, that I was just like relaxing and not doing something directly related to a goal. You know what I mean? Even my reading, which I still find like relaxing and enriching, but even my reading is connected to a goal now. And like, I really can't remember the last time I did something not directly connected to moving forward on some sort of goal. So that was nice. And watched The Office for a while, ate my wacky mac and cheese, and I did finish The Witch's Boy by Kelly Barnhill. I ended up giving this 2 stars. I just felt like it's not a kid's book. It's not a middle grade. It's like an adult fairy tale. And it's just so dark. It's so dark, it's so somber. The language that's used is far above the reading level of a middle grader, which I can appreciate, not dumbing down language for a middle grader and kind of asking them to rise to the level, but I think that it would create a lot of confusion for a kiddo as well, because even if they look up the definitions of a word, they just don't quite have, like, physically, biologically, don't yet have that cognitive development to be able to fully encapsulate the meaning of those words. And yeah, I felt like some scenes were just too dark, too brutal for a middle grade. I found that the plot was a little bit plotting. There was like kind of a dual storyline. There was the story of Ned and Anya, who were trying to figure out what to do with the magic. But then there was also the storyline of like the royalty in this world and an impending war. And I don't feel like that impending war storyline even needed to be there, because it was quite detached from what was actually happening with our main characters and the main storyline. They didn't really interweave very well. And so by the end, when it's like the climax of this impending war, it's just not that exciting or not that impactful. And I feel like this would be better maybe as a novella instead of a 400-page middle grade book. And there's also an issue in here with disability representation where Ned has a stutter, but like he only has a stutter because he's like got something going on. I can't tell you exactly why, but he's got something going on. And after this situation is released, he doesn't have a stutter anymore. And I feel like that's a really bad message to send to kids who have a stutter. Like Ned's stutter was because of this external thing. And woohoo, now he's better. Now that that external thing is resolved. And it doesn't validate kiddos who do have a stutter and who can't just magically get rid of their stutter. So I didn't like that from a disability representation point of view. And I did go back and watch Middle Grade Monthly's live show that was recorded that they did discussing this book, and a lot of people in that discussion agreed with my perspective on it, particularly the disability rep, particularly the plot lines. I saw one woman in the chat mention the language being above the reading level. They didn't really address that. Gavin didn't really address that, but I saw some other people who agreed with me on that as well. So 2 stars out of 5 for The Witch's Boy. I am going to go back to Hollowpox now and really dive into that one, and I'm so excited. So excited. And then last night I also made a little bit of progress on Dirty Love, the mafia romance that I am reading on Kindle Unlimited. It's still a really good book. I'm really loving the setting in Prague, and they're like in this gothic castle with hidden passageways, and there's so much intrigue right now of like who to trust, who not to trust, and it's just a really good mafia story. It's listed as erotica on Kindle Unlimited, and it is very smutty, but like that's not the main focus. So I wish they would list it as a mafia romance, because truly it's a mafia romance story with a lot of smut, not a lot of smut with a mafia story. You know what I mean? So I am really enjoying that. Now I'll keep reading it. I just read that one a little bit at a time every day because I want to make sure I'm taking advantage of my Kindle Unlimited subscription. But my main focus will be Dune and Hollowpox. I basically am listening to Dune on audiobook as I do things that don't require a lot of brain activity, like cleaning around the house or just administrative stuff at work. And then for physical book, I am reading Hollowpox, which you already know, I'm just repeating myself. So today the plan is I basically have a long work day. Like Wednesdays and Thursdays are my long work days. So I've got my long work day today. I need to keep working on tearing down that fish tank that I showed you on Monday. Maybe I'll update you and show you some of the progress that I'm making. And I need to just do some basic chores around the house. I need to, yeah, and, you know, that'll be that. So that's my Wednesday update for you.
Bud. Well.
This way, no. No.
Hello, happy Thursday. Just popping in for an update. Yesterday I ended up DNFing Dune by Frank Herbert, and I DNF'd it at about 60%, so I gave it a fair shot. Initially, I thought that I was going to end up DNFing this because of the sci-fi elements, because sci-fi is like so far outside of what I normally read, but it was not actually the sci-fi elements that did it for me. What ended up doing it for me, what ended up causing me to actually DNF it were just some problematic themes. And Dune was written in 1965, and any book that's older like that is going to have problematic themes of some sort, whether it's racism, sexism, ableism, fat phobia, and on and on. But I think for me, sometimes I'm able to move past that, and sometimes I'm not, depending on like how prevalent those issues are, and depending what the issues are, and whether or not they're specifically triggering for me. The stuff that was happening in Dune was especially triggering for me, in part because of my background. And so let me just tell you a little bit about my background. So my initial career goal, my initial dream for my life was to do international social work. I wanted to work for organizations like the Red Cross and the United Nations. And so when I was in university, I studied psychology, French, business, and social work. And I also studied other languages in addition to that. So I studied French, Spanish, Italian, Russian. There was one other one, I can't remember. I think I was trying to learn a little bit of Arabic, but that one was especially difficult for me and was a no-go. So my goal was then to, like I said, work for organizations like the United Nations and the Red Cross and other organizations that go out into the world and try to make it a better place, particularly areas of the world that are underdeveloped or that we see a lot of violence, poverty, hunger, climate change issues, etc. And I ended up doing part of a PhD in international psychology, even like with the goal of doing this international social work. With my background in French specifically, I studied and was really focused on North and West Africa. And unfortunately, you're going to hear this so many times on my channel. Unfortunately, my plans were waylaid because of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So in about 2005, I ended up getting pretty sick. And travel's really hard for me now. And it just made that dream not really a realistic option for me anymore. So anyway, there's still a part of me that really wants to do that, you guys. There's still a part of me that just says, just do it anyway. But I'm sitting tight where I'm at for now. So I never finished the PhD. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, back to Dune. In Dune, Paul is like the main character, and the basic premise of Dune is that there are these different societies that are all going after a particular spice. And it is a space opera, which is like, if you think Star Wars, that's like a space opera. So Paul and his mom end up on this planet called Arrakis, which is a planet that doesn't have a lot of water. It's like made up of a lot of sand and giant scary worms. And they meet an indigenous group of people who live on Arrakis. They're like sand people, okay? Now, in 1965, when this book was written in North and West Africa, it was a time of revolution for them. There were many countries within that particular region going through revolutions to gain their independence from colonizers. It was a time of immense pain for these nations. It was a time of families being split apart, of not only violence, political violence, but domestic violence. It was a time of confusion and unknowns. There was a lot of anger. And in Dune, the people that he describes on Arrakis, the Sand People, are described very, 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 very similarly to the Bedouin people in North Africa. In Dune, these people have no agency. They can't get their independence on their own. They have to have Paul to save them. Paul's a white dude, right? So there's this white savior complex. And if you learn about anything about North and West Africa, maybe I will do a video on literature of North and West Africa. Would you like that? I have a whole shelf. A lot of them are French, but you might be able to find them in translation. Side note, I will write that down and do that video. Okay, back at the ranch. So this issue just hit too close to home for me. It's something that I think a lot of people will be able to overlook because it was in 1965. Yeah. But just based on my background, it just broke my heart. It broke my heart too much, and I couldn't do it. It felt unethical to me to keep reading this book. It felt unethical to me to be like, yeah, I liked it because like my background is so steeped in those particular areas of study. So I DNF'd it. Another thing that made me really uncomfortable was the eugenics. So like Paul is a product of a successful eugenics program in Dune. That felt yucky. So yeah, I ended up DNFing Dune. And surprisingly, it was not the sci-fi elements. I would definitely give another sci-fi a try. I thought the worms were like both freaky and cool. I didn't mind the, politics and space part. It was just those problematic areas that really I couldn't digest and I couldn't get past. Okay, next on audiobooks. I was listening to that on audio. Next on audiobook, I picked up Shuggie Bain by Douglas Stewart. I am reading for the BookTube Prize. If you don't know what the BookTube Prize is, I will link you to some information about that in the description box down below. I'm reading for fiction in BookTube Prize, and I have like 6 or 7 works of fiction that I need to get through by the end of September for the BookTube Prize. And unfortunately, we're not allowed to really talk about our thoughts on these books until after the results are published. So all I can really tell you is that I picked up Shuggie Bain by Douglas Stewart, and I am reading it for the BookTube Prize. Last night I made some good progress on Hollowpox by Jessica Townsend. I made it about 60 pages in, which isn't a whole lot. It's like a 500-page book, but 60 pages feels like a good chunk for a night of reading. And I'm loving it. I am really enjoying being back in the world. I'm really enjoying being back with some of my favorite characters like Miss Cheery and Finestra. Right away we're getting more world building. We're learning more about how the Wondrous Society functions and what their role is actually about. And I'm loving it so much. If I had to give it a star rating at this point, it would be a 5-star. I just love these books. They're just so fun. And then I also made progress on Dirty Love by Wright. I don't really know what to say about this that I haven't said already. It is a mafia romance. The mafia story is really interesting and complex. There's a bit of espionage elements in there because of the mafia conflict going on. The setting is really cool. It's in Prague. The love story is actually really sweet about 2 very broken people coming together. It is very smutty, but that is not the main focus of the book, actually. It's like a bonus. So I am still enjoying that. I made it to about page 100 last night. And those are the things I will continue reading: Shuggy Bane, Hollowpox, and Dirty Love. Yesterday I just had a pretty standard day. It's a long day at work. Wednesdays and Thursdays are always my long days at work because I teach night classes into the night. So I didn't really do anything particularly interesting in terms of like the stuff I'm sharing with you about chickens and horses and whatever. I'm still working on getting my fish tank torn down so that I can get that sold this weekend. And then I think another project that I will start working on at that point, it's not going to be like soon. It'll probably be in September, but I want to start really working on kind of decking out my 75-gallon fish tank with like live plants and stuff to make it look really, really gorgeous. So that's a project coming up in the future that I'll share with you. And today, Thursday, again, just another long day at work. I don't really have anything specific planned other than just working. Those are Wednesdays and Thursdays for me. Wednesdays and Thursdays are work days. Tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, I'll have more interesting things to share. Maybe Sunday. We'll see. We will see. Hello, happy Friday. I'm just checking in with you. I wanted to give you an overview of what all I have going on this weekend because I might just film it and not talk over the top of it so you kind of know what's happening. So today, work is done for the day-ish. I still have some things to finish up. I will be doing some work projects throughout the weekend actually. But this evening I am meeting people to finalize all the contracts and stuff for my horse. And tomorrow I am setting up my brooder for my chickens and finalizing contracts on that. Tomorrow I also will be selling my 55-gallon fish tank. So tonight I have to finish tearing down that fish tank. And I wanted to show you my 75-gallon fish tank that my fish are now in. And yes, it's overstocked. Like the tank is overstocked. I am aware of that. Sunday I actually will be moving some of the fish in that tank down to my fish room in the basement. So this is just a temporary situation. I'll do big water changes, all that jazz. But I wanted to show you the tank so you can kind of see the before tank, the way it's set up, because I do plan on doing some renovations on that tank in September. And Sunday I'm picking up more supplies for the chicken brooder. Within all of this, I do plan on reading. We've got book club on Saturday for Killing Time with Cozy's book club. I also need to work on my short story, so I might be doing some writing sprints with some people, cleaning house, tending to the garden, all that stuff. So it's going to be a pretty jam-packed weekend, and taking you along and hoping that you're enjoying the ride.
I need to hit the road here and go meet this person for contract issues, but I wanted to show you where I'm at with tearing this tank down. So I moved some of the stuff that was down here. I moved that. I've started scooping out all of the substrate and everything, but there's still quite a lot left there that I need to tear down. I need to move these supplies. I need to unhook all of the air pumps, and I need to undo all the filters. So there's quite a bit of work I need to do on this yet tonight before it will be ready to be picked up.
friends, it is Monday, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap up this week's vlog. Over the weekend, I did go ahead and continue working on finalizing paperwork for the horse. Now, a lot of you have been asking for photos of her, and what I'm doing with this horse is called a feed lease. And basically what that means is that her current owner and I are going to co-parent her. Basically what that means. This just means it'll reduce costs for me. So it's not a full out purchase. It is, you know, going in half and half with a friend of mine. And because of that, it's really important to me that I develop a really good partnership with this friend of mine and always respect her, etc. I did ask her if I could share photos of Lady, and she was okay with me sharing photos every now and again. So I'm probably not going to spam you all with lots of horse photos. I will share what I can. But, you know, that's kind of the situation there. Saturday, Brandon and I kind of got out of the house for a while, did a little bit of shopping at some of our favorite local shops. And then Sunday I did go ahead and set up the brooder for my chickens, and I have ordered baby box. So watch the next vlog and you can meet my new babies, my baby chickens. Let's go through what I read this week. First, I finished The Witch's Boy by Kelly Barnhill. Gave it 2 stars out of 5. Next, I DNF'd Dune at about 60%. And then I've been working on reading Hollowpox, The Hunt for Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend. I'm going to suspect this will be a 5-star read, but we'll just have to see. I am 228 pages in. I've also been continuing to read Dirty Love by Kenya Wright, a mafia romance. I'm about 100 pages in, reading that one real slowly. If I had to guess a star rating for that, it's probably going to be a 4-star. So I'm very much enjoying that one. Alright, that was this week's vlog. I'm going to wrap it up here. If you made it this far in the vlog, go ahead and comment with your favorite color heart emoji in the chat below. And until next time, make sure that you continue to read good books, drink good coffee, take care of yourselves and each other. Bye!